What is good, guys? My name is Kane. Welcome to my casual deck profiles. Next chapter here is going to be Zombie World. I've always loved certain things about the zombie archetype. I was not a fan of the character in the anime. Bones never he just seemed weird to me, but I did like the idea of zombies and kind of the gimmick that he did bring, where they kind of take over the field slowly and slowly, and it just made it interesting. So we're gonna go over the deck profile that I've collected. Shout out to a friend of mine on Discord named Hazard Requiem, who helped me get this deck put together. So we're going to start with our three ofs. We're going to be playing 3 copies of Jacobalon. So Jacobalon is, let me just read over it again just to make sure, because some people have also told me read over the cards. You can discard a zombie monster, special summon this card from your hand. During your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, target a monster in either graveyard, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. Then manage this card during the end phase. Basically, this lets us monster reborn our opponent's cards. Next up, we have 3 copies of Mizuki. Mizuki allows us to banish a zombie from the graveyard, besides itself, including itself, to special summon itself. And this is not a once per turn, so you can kind of swarm the field by doing this. Next up, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Shiranui Solitaire. This is our one tribute. This card allows us to tribute it to special summon another zombie type with 0 defense, which is going to come in helpful for our mini engine of Shiranui we have in here. Now, Shiranui are interesting. There's zombie monsters that kind of give me a lot of Demon Slayer vibes. Next up, we have 3 copies of Unizombie. Unizombie is going to allow us to get into level 8 synchros with a level 4 in the field. That lets us discard a card, increase this card's level by 1. But it makes it so we can't attack. That synchro monster cannot attack this turn. Slight trade-off, but it lets us get a board set up. Next up, we have our 2 ofs, starting with starting out with Shiranui Samurai. Shiranui Samurai is a pretty good beat stick to start out with, if we're purely running on beat stick power. It's also pretty good because it allows us to banish a zombie from grave, gain 600, and help us out in the long run. Next up, we have our main deck boss monster in 2 copies of Doom King Balladrock. This card can recur itself in the graveyard during our standby phase. It can also, while Zombie World's active, allow us to negate and banish a card that our opponent controls, because all with the help of Zombie World, which I'll explain later, makes it so a lot of cards become zombies. Next up, after that, we play 2 copies of Gozuki. This card is a Foolish Burial on Summon, which is perfect for us. Next up, we have some more Shiranui. We have 2 copies of Shiranui Squire, which allows us to special summon a Spectral Sword from hand or deck. And it also allows us, but it makes it so we cannot, it locks us into zombies, which is just fine. It also lets us draw and discard if it's banished. Then we have 2 copies of Spectral Sword himself. Spectral Sword is our tuner, and he can do a lot of interesting things. Mainly the fact that he allows us to target a non-tuner to then synchro summon with it. So he basically allows us to synchro summon from the graveyard, and the Shiranui archetype itself is the synchro ladder. So we only play 2 synchro monsters. Next up, we play 2 copies of Shiranui Spectral Sword's Shade, which kind of does the same thing. It's meant to still more graveyard shenanigans and stuff like that. Next up, we have our 1-ofs. So we are going to be talking about, so I do have some meta cards. I have another Kaiju in this one. I opened all that Synchro Stone to get Lyrless, so I kept all the Kaiju. 1 copy of Dino Wrestler Pankratops, really good start, just to pop a 1-for-1 back row removal. Now this card was kind of a lockdown strategy. If all goes to hell and I have a Balladrock on the field, play a Vanity's Ruler. Makes it so neither player can special summon monsters. Now we have Necroworld Banshee. We only play 1 of this. I'm hoping to get more of them. What this allows us to do is banish it from the grave to summon out a zombie world, or set a zombie world up. Next up, we have Glow Up Bloom, which allows us to add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from deck to hand. But if we have zombie world on the field, we can actually special summon it instead by banishing it to the graveyard. We have Shiranui Spy Master, or Spirit Master. Sorry about that. Shiranui Spirit Master allows us to, when it's normal summon, special summon a Shiranui from hand or grave, except and banish it when it leaves the field. Pretty good summon. And then we lastly have 1 negate in Ghost Mourner Moonlit Chill. Alternate art. Or maybe it's original art. I don't know. Now we're going to go into the traps, because I want to save the spells for last. So, this is a control deck, so we play 2 copies of There Can Only Be One. Makes it so we limit it to 1 monster of each type, which basically makes it interesting. And this is mainly used in the beginning once we get Balladrock, and if we don't have Zombie World, if we're trying to lock our opponent in. We have 1 Jar of Avarice to recur cards from grave to draw a card, get a free draw. Fiendish Chain, we have one form negate in this, and then we have 3 copies of Rivalry of Warlords. Each player can only control one type of monster. We mainly are meant to use this. We want to eventually pop the there can only be one, so we can then put Rivalry of Warlords on the field. Rivalry of Warlords is our main card in keeping control of the field. Next up, what we have is Zombie World. We play 2 copies of it. It makes it so neither player can tribute summon monsters, or neither player can tribute summon. Yeah, neither player can tribute summon except for zombie monsters. Makes it so all monsters on field and grave become zombie type. Really good at keeping control of the field. 2 Book of Lives, which allows us to banish a zombie from grave, our opponent's grave. We have Zombie World, and special summon another. So that's really good. We also have, this is a unique card. I was given these 2 cards, well, 2 technically. We have 1 Upstart Goblin, and then the 2 unique cards I was given for this deck. Galaxy Cyclone, which, let's just do it once and destroy a set spell or trap, and then we can banish it from grave to then do a face-up spell and trap. We also have a Call of the Mummy, which is a kind of like Valhalla. Lets us special summon a zombie monster from hand, as long as we control no monsters. Now, I do actually want to go into the extra deck for this, which it's only 2 cards, but still it's interesting. So the first one here makes it so we have Shiranui Skill Saga Supremacy. This one is basically a monster reborn, allows a special summon from grave to a zone that this card points to, a Shiranui that is banished. Really good for occurring and setting up a synchro board. And then we have our big extra deck boss monster himself, Shiranui Shogun Saga, which gains attack when he's summoned, and you want to use him to make a bigger board nuke. He's meant to join, and he lets us target, and when he's destroyed by battle and sent to grave, he lets us send a card to grave, or special send a card from banished zone to grave. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to shuffle, and we are going to do a quick little sim of the hand. I did not do it with the Lyrilisk, my apologies. I really don't want to go back and edit the video right now, because I'm trying to pump these out as fast as possible. Besides, you guys really seem to like them, so let's go into a hand run here. Okay, let's see. I did not shuffle well enough. Alright, this is looking perfect. Yeah, nope. That's it. I just want to go ahead and say while I'm here, thank you guys so much for actually enjoying the series so far. It seems like I got a lot of views really quickly, and I'm really appreciative of those. So, thank you guys very much. So, I'm going to be real with you guys. The only 2 cards you're going to need turn 1, because, I mean, if you're trying to do a complete control strategy, the only 2 cards you need, I won't even show combo hand, are these 2 cards. Gozuki and Rivalry of Warlords. You want to set and summon him. He's going to banish our 1 Necroworld Banshee, which Necroworld Banshee's effects will then activate once I find the dang thing. And it lets us activate Zombie World. Once we activate Zombie World is then going to allow us to play Rivalry Awards during opponent's turn as long as this card isn't destroyed. It makes it so they can only summon 1 monster, and unless they can start link climbing with different monsters, which can't because of this, they're screwed. Basically, this is your cycle here. As long as you can keep these 2 cards on the field, and then with Baller Drock, you're fine. And with that, guys, that was the Zombie World video. I hope you guys liked that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend. And this has been the deck profile, Casual Chronicles Part 2, Zombie World.